Hello and welcome to the PSPremiere Podcast. This is the 24th episode. I am your host, James Smith, and today I am joined by Dory.
Oh, it's me, Dory. I go by she, her pronouns, and you can find me on Twitter at declare192.
And Mitch.
Hello, I am Mitch. You can find me on Twitter at MitchUp1012.
And Seb.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. I hope you're all having a great week, and you can follow me at LittleSeb93.
Great. Now with that out of the way, Seb, hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well.
What have you been playing? You been playing anything good this week?
Man, what am I playing, man? All right. So I'll just go through probably the last 5 games I played. I would say
All right. Sure. Let me just check my schedule.
I don't have to go into detail. So I platinum Destroy All Humans. I platinum Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I beat Crash Bandicoot 4. I beat Sackboy. I beat Scott Pilgrim. I beat Valhalla, and I platinum Maneater today. So that's 6 or 7.
Seven, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How'd you find Maneater? Because I really wanted to like that game, but I got to a point where I had to open a gate to progress, and I couldn't figure out how to open said gate, and I kept getting attacked by these 2 alligators, and it was very annoying, so I just gave up at that point.
Oh, well, it's actually, you know what, it reminds me of an old PS2 game where they didn't care. It was they would just make a game out of anything, and that's what it feels like. Because basically, you're just like a little baby shark, and then when you level up, you turn to a teen, and then an adult, and then the elder, and all that. So basically, the whole game is just eating people and eating animals, and that's pretty much the whole game. The beginning is a little tough because there's alligators that are a lot higher than you, but if you just collect everything, which you need to do for the platinum anyway, it's pretty easy. It's laughably easy. It's only a 10-hour, 12-hour game. You can get the platinum in 10 hours, so it's one of those great filler games. I just came off beating Valhalla, which took my whole soul to beat because it was just so long.
Yeah.
So this is nice.
Yeah.
It's a nice something fun to do on the side.
What is Valhalla, a 1,000-hour platinum or something like that?
Oh yeah, I'm not doing that. I know a lot because I'm friends with a lot of trophy hunters on Twitter, and a lot of them have the platinum in Valhalla. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't know how you have the time to do that. I have the time to beat a lot of games, but I only go after platinums if they're reasonable. If the game takes 1,000 hours, I'm not gonna waste my time.
I might do a 1,000-hour platinum if it was a game that I really, really liked and would probably put 1,000 hours into anyway.
Yeah, if I World of Warcraft, I'd probably have the platinum, and if it was on PlayStation. But yeah, other than that, I really don't want to do that. But Valhalla was a great game in pieces. If you marathon it, play it 20 hours straight, you're gonna get really bored. You know what I mean? It's made to play an hour a day or something like that because it's really repetitive. You really have to conquer the whole country of England, kingdom by kingdom.
Yeah.
And it's the same story. It's a little wimpy guy you try to befriend, and then you help him rise up, and then you take over a castle. It's the same over and over.
How is the overarching story, I should say?
The overall story is pretty good. I like his relationship with his brother, but he's not in the game for most of it. So you're kind of the overall story kind of gets overshadowed by all the story arcs. Yeah, repetitive story arcs. And then it goes into that typical jumps in the future where I forgot the name of it, the Animus, right?
Yeah, the Animus.
Yeah, and the ending is batshit crazy. It doesn't make any sense. I didn't
really
get it. Yeah, it's really weird. Is it not just? I don't want to spoil it, but there is a voice that's obviously a big voice actor. There's no way you would not know who it is.
And it's not Troy Baker's in everything.
If it's not Troy Baker, if it's not Troy Baker, it's so.
Ah.
But it's they try to make it it's not obvious, but I'm I know who that is. Anyway.
Yeah.
So all the characters oh, I wonder who that could be, and then you're obviously
And I thought the World Quest system would be a lot funner than it is, and I didn't care for it at all. A lot of times I was just skipping it. I thought the way they were advertising it was more fun than it actually was. I thought the Red Dead World quests were a lot better than that one.
Yeah.
So did you actually enjoy exploring the world before we move on, or?
You know what? Like, it's like probably one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Like, it definitely feels next gen, and it's probably right up there with Red Dead in terms of the open world, the way it looks. It's probably the second most beautiful PS5 game after Demon Souls, but the environment itself is kind of it's kind of like it's like, you know, because it's England, so it's just countryside and same trees, same mountains. You kind of once you see one land, you kind of see all of it. You know what I mean? It's not really that unique. It's not like Ghost of Tsushima where it feels like you're in a totally different area. Yeah. So is there any other game you want me to expand on, or?
Well, that's the thing. I need to go back to Valhalla because I did enjoy what I played of it. I think I stopped playing it to go and play other things that were going to take less time. Yes. So I definitely need to go back to it. But I feel like the problem was with like Odyssey. I stopped. I was really enjoying it. I was like 25 hours in, and I stopped playing it. And then no matter how hard I tried, because I had to stop playing it to play Red Dead 2 because it came out not long before that, and I went to go back and play it. And every time I go back to try it and get back into Odyssey, I just cannot get back into it.
Yeah, you'll have the same problem this time. All the problems I had with Origins and Odyssey, I had the problems with this game. Ubisoft just over bloats their games way too much. If this game was just like a nice 30-hour semi-open world experience, it would have been 10 times better than it was. I know people really love it, but I think the people that really love it are people that only play like 3 to 5 games a year kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like some people that just commit to one game. That's the people that really these games are made for. Because it's not made for me where I go through a game like, you know, every day. Like it's just it drags too much. So I don't think you're ever going to be able to get into it because you go through so many games, you're not going to find the time or the motivation to do it because it's like a 100-hour game. So
that is the weird thing though, because I feel like the only games that in my mind at least can get away with being that long are the big event games like Red Dead 2 or The Witcher 3 or something like that. Where it's such a big deal that you know people are gonna just go through it in one.
Yeah, and those games are, you know, they're in like development for like 7 years. Like this game was made in like 2 years. Well, I mean, it was made longer than that, but it was like, you know, it was announced like 2 years ago. Yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything with Valhalla. Yeah, I don't think any of you guys are personally.
It's not for me. I try not to buy Ubisoft.
I really hope the next Assassin's Creed game is less bloated and more straightforward. Go back to the assassination.
Yeah.
I definitely like a smaller world. Like they're far too big. Like I think it's weird because like Red Dead Redemption 2 has quite a big world as well, and replaying it now, I'm definitely feeling the strain of having to like travel everywhere by horse a little bit. It's not too bad because I like riding the horse, but it definitely feels a little bit. But even then, like I feel like they get away with it just because they pack so much in there. There's events that happen everywhere you go that are interesting, and everything feels so sort of dynamic.
As much as I love that game, it's only made it played once for me. I can never go back and play that again. It's just it's a one-time experience.
It's long. It is long. Like I think I'm only like 50% of the way through it, and I've been playing it for like 2 weeks now.
Okay.
So
the first time when it came out, I binged it in a week, but it still took a week, even though I was playing it non-stop.
Yeah, I binged it in a week, but there's a lot of hours. All right. I'll save Scott Pilgrim because I'm under the impression. Crash Bandicoot 4. If you ask me what a modern Crash game looked like, this would be it. They perfected the formula. It feels. It feels like feels like a Crash game from the 90s, but at the same time, it feels like a modern game. It really does feel like they really added to the mechanics of the game. I really like the the time warp and all that. Like you can one platform is like you got to click a button to switch. You know.
Yeah, like the Titanfall 2 level where you.
Yeah. It's like
that on just a much smaller scale. I also got Crash 4, and I can definitely agree that it feels like it feels like a refinement, yet also a celebration of Crash games. This one.
Hang on, wait, Mitch. When did you get Crash Bandicoot 4?
Weeks back.
Weeks back.
I mentioned it the last time it was on.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I mentioned it. I went through a rapid fire of all the games I got, and Crash 4 was on there. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Had you played it then?
Yeah, I've played it. I haven't beaten it yet, but I've played it.
Alright.
I'd say I'm about
Is it-
2/3 of the way through. Yeah.
Is it? Because I've been talking to Mitch, even though I've been talking to Mitch the last couple months, and even then I realized that me and him are playing a lot of the same games. Like, so there's gonna be a lot of overlap tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Crash 4 is a great game. If you don't really care for Crash, probably a game I wouldn't play. Like, you know, I'll put it this way: if you enjoyed the trilogy, you really get this 100%. If you didn't, I would skip it.
That seems like a good review for what it is. Like, I think it's the kind of thing that they want. It's the kind of thing you want it to be appealing, not to everyone. Because the original Crash doesn't appeal to everyone. I don't think.
Yeah, because Crash is very specific. The way the camera is, and it's very limiting. It's not 3D in the natural, it's not the Mario 64 sense. It's like a fixed camera. You have to follow. You get chased by something, you only get one path down. So yeah, I was really impressed. I'm excited for the franchise again. That's the dark days of Crash are over because it was in a rough spot for a long time. And then Dory wanted to hear about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. So you have any questions about it?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, as a Dragon Ball Z fan, like I've been tempted to buy it, but I just wasn't quite. I've seen some folks play it. I've heard some middling to above average reviews. So I was just curious about what your overall feelings were once you finished it, especially after platinuming it.
Yeah, I didn't plan. Oh, I did platinum. Yes, I did. It was actually it was a reasonable and fun platinum. When it first got announced, I thought like, oh, here we go. We're doing the same sagas again that I've done a jillion times because like I've fought Frieza, Cell, and Majin Buu so many times in games, but it makes it fresh because it's an RPG and there's a big open world. You get to fly around and do all side activities. There's a lot of like side missions and there's a really cool like neat coin system where you kind of like have a map where you put coins on and the characters match each other. Like you have one section that's like it gives you extra experience. One section is for cooking. One section's for like fighting, and then one section is like getting more orbs and stuff like that. And that section's actually really addicting. I had a lot of fun trying to match everything because I was trying to get like to 100% experience boost. So like I would level like that because one of the bosses like level 100, which is pretty high. So basically you fly around and fight. The fighting is kind of like Tenkaichi if you ever played that.
Yeah.
Or Xenoverse. So it's pretty standard fighting. It's not like fighters or anything like that. But the RPG mechanics are surprisingly a lot of fun. Like even like the fishing and stuff. It just makes it feel fresh. Like you basically just play as like whatever character in that saga is going through. Like, and you just get to explore the world as that character, and then you get a free roam after the story mode. And so overall, I didn't have high expectations for this game, but it ended up being my top 10 games of the year because it was really fun. I could not put it down. It was so addictive. Dragon Ball Z is my favorite show of all time. So if you don't like Dragon Ball Z or don't know about it, I don't know if I can recommend this game. If you do, I totally recommend it.
Okay. Yeah,
really
I just finished up Super like last month, so I'm a pretty committed fan.
Oh
so.
yeah.
Maybe I'll pick it up if it's like $20 or something.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's what it is now. I got it for $20.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I'll definitely think about it then.
Yeah. Right, Mitch. What about you? What have you been playing?
I've been playing. I've been playing a few things. Primarily though, I've been playing some more Crash 4. I recently just got the Ezio collection for like $20. So I've started Assassin's Creed 2, and I'm really kind of surprised at how short the game seems to be. Like I
good old days.
Yeah. I'm like, because each mission lasts only like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. Because
Assassin's Creed 2 is so good.
Instead of 10 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's no bloat or anything. It's just straight to the point. this is what each character does. There's no 15-minute long horse rides where they give you some cryptic backstory. And I mean, character building is good and all, but like, I mean, I don't need it over and over again on friggin' 20-minute long horse rides. So I've been playing that. The other thing I've been going through Outlast. Like, I'm on my 3rd or 4th playthrough at the moment, just going through that again, getting some notes for the for a project I'm working on. And as well as that, with the recent Resident Evil showcase, I have finally decided to get off my ass and start Resident Evil 4, which I am really enjoying.
Yay.
Shame.
I still have not played. I still haven't played it, so you can shame me as well.
Yeah, Seb, we need to focus our shame energy on James, not on Mitch. Mitch is correcting his wrong. James is
I'm correcting. Yeah.
I lose part every podcast. I lose part of my soul. Like,
All in good time.
Did you play Half-Life?
I have played Half-Life now. I have played Half-Life now. I'm making my way through that series as well.
So he's catching up.
I mean, yeah, Mitch, you were like 2 when Resident Evil 4 came out, so that's crazy.
Yeah. As a kid, Resident Evil 4 was too spooky for me. So
yeah,
can't relate because I played Resident Evil when I was a kid. But
yeah,
aren't you playing Rage 2 as well? Because I beat that myself, so I was wondering
why.
Yeah, no, I am. It was $9. It was $9.
Yeah,
it was free for me. It was on Game Pass, and I gave up after 5 minutes.
There's a shining review.
I mean, I got it on PlayStation for $9 because I don't know, for some reason I lose motivation to beat games a lot quicker on Xbox than I do on PlayStation.
No,
for some reason,
I get that as well. It's because it's like PlayStation is your main platform, and
exactly. And like with Game Pass, it's like, oh, so many games yet such little time. But yeah, I got it for like $9. I got it for $9. And like I'm having fun with it. It's open world Doom basically, but I can very much tell where at some point it's just going to be a matter of just grinding open world activities, which I have heard it is. Like, it's fun, but I definitely want some more weapons and stuff to be unlocked, because at the moment all I have really is just an assault rifle and a shotgun, and it's starting to get old pretty fast.
That's all I used in the whole game. The game is really short. It's
weird though.
It's not like Borderlands. It's like very limited.
No, it's weird though, because it's like I think it's the tone and the style that I didn't like, and I just didn't care at all about the story. And those opening half an hour really put me off. And I loved
that was bad. Yeah,
I loved the first game though. Like the first game,
really,
I was a big fan of the first game. Yeah.
When I tell you that game's frame rate is so awful, and the looks of it, the graphics are so terrible. But
is this the first Rage?
I'm talking about the second one. Rage 2,
okay.
The frame rate was awful. It was like 20 frames per second.
I'm playing it on PS5, and it seems to be running fine on there, but I'd say on PS4, yeah.
No, it looks. I don't know. Maybe because I came off playing like Demon Souls and stuff like that, but it looks awful. Like I beat Doom Eternal like 2 months ago, and it was like light years better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Making me think about like I think it's called Deadly Premonition 2, or the one that came out last year. Yeah, that makes me think of
Deadly
that game's like 10 frames per second.
Yeah. Plus some added transphobia, so that's great.
Yeah.
So Dory, I think that's everything, right, Mitch? That's all you've been playing.
Yes, that's all I've been playing this week. Yeah.
Great. Dory, what have you been playing?
Hello, I've been playing a few games here and there. I will just name 3. I finished Sayonara Wild Hearts. I thought it was a really quick, fun, easy game. I struggled a couple times. There's one level in particular where there's a lot of switching around. I won't say too much, but there's a lot of switching around with the world, and I really struggled with that one. But I thought it was beautiful. It's gay as heck, which I always appreciate. And the art direction is just phenomenal. The music is great. I'm not much of a rhythm person. I'm not much of a rhythm person in general. I mean, don't ever watch me dance. But like in general, for rhythm games, I'm not like a huge rhythm game person. So I honestly just thought it had excellent music, excellent art direction. Queen Latifah is in it for some reason, and she's awesome. I don't know why she's here, but I love her. So
yeah, can you what kind of game is it? Like, what kind of genre is that game?
I mean, it is basically a rhythm game. You're trying to match up your character with these hearts, and to the game's credit, I mean, the gameplay I don't think gets that stale. It mixes it up in a lot of different ways throughout the game's a short time period. Playtime. So I was really impressed. I thought it was a solid 4 out of 5. I didn't go back to try to gold things. Heck no. I struggled just to get silver on a lot of them, especially the later levels. I did replay through the game again. Once you beat the game, you do get a full album mix, and you can just play everything all the way through without having any interruptions or having to go back to the level select screen. I thought that was great, but I thought the game should have just been that to begin with. I don't really understand why they made that an unlock thing, but it was cool. It made me replay the game.
Yeah, so it's one of those. So it's one of those games where like the symbols go across the screen. You got to click the right button. Is that what it is? Like that kind of rhythm game?
There's some button clicking, but it's mostly
there's some QTEs. But...
Yeah, it's mostly just you move around the screen to collect like little icons that appear.
Yeah, it's not like Parappa the Rapper or like that.
No.
Yeah, no, it's not like Guitar Hero. When I say rhythm game, it's like you're trying to follow a certain rhythm of things that are on the screen, but you're not pressing buttons necessarily.
Okay.
The visuals, I love that game as well. I think the visuals are really like striking, and the art style is just terrific, and like the colors as well. Like it's all very purple and everything like that.
I mean, there are a couple parts definitely where even I'm still on the PS4, and I mean there's a couple times where if I was in animation, my jaw would have dropped the whole way down. I was like, this is just gorgeous. So I really recommend the game, even if you're not super into. It's not really a rhythm game, but I don't know how else to describe it.
I like rhythm games.
It's like a pseudo rhythm game.
I'd personally recommend it more based on the person's interest in music. If you like that kind of music, then you probably should pick it up. And it's kind of like pop, I think.
Yeah, it's electronic music. It's kind of I would compare it to the music of, and I know James doesn't like this band, but the Scottish band Churches or Purity Ring. James has bad taste. What else is new? But anyway, Purity Ring, like electronica bands like that are electronic pop.
Okay, I listen to EDM all the time, so it's $8 on sale, so I might get it.
Yeah, they're like Metric. Honestly, I think they're kind of like Metric too, which is another great band. I've been streaming Uncharted 4. That's still really fun. I'm not quite done with it. I just got to chapter 18. I think I'm getting close to the end. I am starting to see what people mean by the last section of the game being really long, but I'm actually really digging it because I like all the mechanics in this game and I think they work really well. So I'm just really loving this game. Like so far, like it's almost a 5 for me. And I'm really loving this game.
One thing I want to ask you actually, because I finished a replay of it just the other day there, I think yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
What do you think of the combat?
I think the combat is a little wonky at times with the fisticuffs, but I think the shooting is still really good. And I think the fisticuffs is still feels a lot tighter than it does in Uncharted 3. I don't mind it. It's okay.
Yeah, because here's my thing, right?
Yeah.
My thing is like, I think they did a good job implementing the stealth. I think that really adds a lot to it.
Yes.
But I can't. They should have just added like a health bar and health pickups. Because the thing that I realized replaying it is like, you spend a lot of time nervously hiding behind cover, waiting for your health to regenerate, which takes a long fucking time as the enemies creep up on you and flank you and throw grenades at you. And it's just, it feels awful when you die over and over again in the same section because the enemies just keep coming at you even though you're trying to hold back and wait for your health to regenerate. It just doesn't, the AI, the way the enemy AI works, and they try and get you to move around and cover and stuff, does not work with how long it takes to regenerate your health.
Yeah, I haven't had that experience personally, but I definitely can see what you're saying.
There is one sort of level a little later on that you're probably not at yet that you'll really see what I mean. It's particularly awful.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah,
I think I know the one you mean.
Or just haven't reached that kind of level. Sorry, Mitch, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think especially the James's complaint especially applies to like any Uncharted game really, but like when you go to the higher difficulties, it's terrible.
I don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
fuck with Uncharted higher difficulty.
Because this is just on
Yeah.
normal that I play. I just play on normal.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's probably fine if you boot it down to easy or explorer difficulty, but my pride won't let me, so I just try and push my way
Yeah,
through.
I do like doing it on
on
standard.
this podcast. No, but yeah, like Uncharted 1, like it is not made for crushing difficulty at all. Like you can, and Uncharted 4, I don't think any of the Uncharted games are really made for high difficulty. So when you turn it up, it like ruins the game because the AI gets way too strong and good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
even on standard, Uncharted AI has always been kind of brutal. Like they're very aggressive. They throw grenades often at your cover. The grenades have a big area of effect. I did have a spot where I had to use a sniper rifle, and people had to keep using grenades against me. I did have a very cool action hero sequence where like I was so close to dying, and I like slid down this part of the mountain and into like into a helicopter, and I just got away just before I died, basically, and it was very cool.
Yeah,
I felt very cool in that moment. Who cannot do that at all.
You know, a lot of. Go ahead, Mitch. Go ahead.
I was going to say I find it funny though because like The Last of Us, also made by Naughty Dog, feels exactly made for harder difficulties. Like you can tell the level design and the AI with the enemies, like it's balanced really well.
Yeah,
I haven't tried Grounded yet, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because it's survival horror and it tests your sneaking ability and your item management.
I think of a huge part of it though is the fact that it has health packs and it has a health bar rather than regenerating health.
Yeah,
that's probably part of it too.
Because you die in like 2 shots. Uncharted.
Yeah.
Well, and you don't even know half the time.
Just learn to take a bullet. Come on. Jeez,
just
walk it off.
What I was gonna say is probably my favorite part of Uncharted 4, which maybe other people don't disagree with, is I love the scenes with his brother, like when he was a kid and stuff. Like people didn't like that, but I really love those sections.
I love the flashback stuff. I wanted that from Uncharted 3, and they teased it, and they did a little bit of it, but they never committed. And I was very they did other stuff later in the game that they supposedly committed to, but then went back on. That made me very angry because I felt like I was being emotionally manipulated.
Yeah. Well, now we got Tom Holland for that.
Don't mention. Don't. Don't say his name.
In all honesty, though, by the way, we didn't put this on the list today, but that's been delayed. That movie.
Oh yeah,
it has through to February.
Oh no!
The second death month for movies, basically February is so.
But
Sony really has confidence in that.
I mean, the thing is, right? With the Uncharted 4, like those slower flashback levels. I respect. I'm not a huge fan of them on the replay. Like when I was going around exploring and like checking out all the items and stuff, and doing all the dialogue the first time. I remember liking it, but I'm not a huge fan of it on the replay. I try and skip over as much of it as possible. But I respect the confidence that it takes the studio to have an entire level with no climbing and no combat and no excitement or anything like that.
Yeah, that seems like it'd be a consistent problem with Naughty Dog games when they're kind of like made for like a one-time experience. You know what I mean? Like there's certain sections of The Last of Us Part 2 that I would dread playing again. You know what I mean? Like like those any of those flashback episodes or anything like that. Like
that's weird though, because I think they're perfectly set up for replaying because they're so linear and they're like it's like a TV series that you can just binge. Because I've played The Last of Us countless times, and I probably will play The Last of Us Part 2 countless times as well. So
it's gonna be my personal opinion. But yeah.
I mean, I can kind of see what Seb's saying though, because like with them being so linear, it kind of acts as a detriment to replays. Because I mean, like Outlast, one of the games I'm playing at the moment, as much as I'm loving it, the replays kind of kill it for me every time because now you just like the first time playing through, I was scared shitless the entire time, but now on second and third playthroughs, I know how the enemies all act, I know their routes, I know all the scripts and stuff. So basically it's less about actually hiding from a murderous cannibal or whatever the hell, and now just about waiting for the AI to sort of walk away and then do your thing. And it loses its allure really quickly on replays, I think, and I can get what Seb means by that with how linear and scripted they are.
I do want to talk about one more game I played before we go any further with this. So yesterday I decided I've been thinking about Kingdom Hearts 2 recently because that's just what I do. And I was thinking about speedrunning it and just going like all the way through because I want to speedrun Kingdom Hearts 2 for the charity gaming stream thing, Extra Life. And I did Kingdom Hearts 1 last year, so I want to do Kingdom Hearts 2 this year. And so I just wanted to see how fast it would be for me on beginner. And I ended up, my partner ended up feeling really like not well. She had a headache, so we ended up not really hanging out. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna do this, I guess. So at first I was just doing the Roxas, the first like tutorial section. And that's
another example of what I mean. Yeah, sections I don't look forward to playing when I replay games. That's one.
Well, and so I beat it in like 23 minutes, Seb. I mean, you can beat that stuff real fast if you skip cutscenes and you know where you're going. But my overall time was about like 5.5 hours, including like credits and stuff like that. But it's really about 5:15.
Is that good? Is that a good time?
Yeah, it's very impressive.
The world record is like 2 hours and 47 minutes for a beginner. So it's like double that kind of. But I'm still really impressed that I was able to do it because honestly, there was kind of a dry run or a practice run. I hadn't speed ran like all the way through in a long time, and that
makes it even more impressive. Yeah, that makes it even more impressive.
I've just watched speedruns of KH2 so much that I've internalized a lot of the basic strats because eventually you get to a point where it's like, okay, I need to use Donald's duck flare. I need to go into master form here. I need to do this. I need to do that. So honestly, Kingdom Hearts 2 is a really accessible speedrun because it's not about glitches. It's not about 1 second splits or anything like that. It's just about like using the skills you have and just honing that. There's a couple of RNG manipulations at the beginning of the game, but they're not hugely important and they don't really damage your run. They're just little optimizations. So I think Kingdom Hearts 2 is a very accessible speedrun, and it's certainly, obviously, it's one of my favorites. I had a really good time with it. The only real bad part is I was doing in-game time because I had taken so many breaks because I either wanted to look away from the screen or, help my partner with her headache or whatever. So I had to take pauses and stuff. So I had to go by in-game time. So I had to wait till the flipping credits were done. So, but most speedrunners don't do that. They just do in real time. Yeah, it was really fun.
If they put these games on PS5 in 60 frames, I'll play the whole series again.
It's I think that would break certain mechanics about Kingdom Hearts just because of the way it's set up. I mean, I already think with how it's set up on modern consoles, it can be tough for certain mechanics to work exactly as they do. I think certain bosses are actually tougher because Kingdom Hearts 2 is brought up to 30 frames or 45 frames or something. And certain bosses actually got really tough. But yeah, I'd still love to see that as long as they actually, and I don't think Square Enix would do this, but would actually optimize the boss fights, but I doubt they would do that.
What people don't realize is people look at it like a kid's games, but those games are, if you really want to do the side content and play like the side bosses, they're really challenging.
They're really challenging, and also there's a lot of dark stuff in Kingdom Hearts. But so I did a Kingdom Hearts 2 speedrun yesterday. It was really fun. I was really proud of it, and I didn't get too frustrated, which is why I probably will not do critical. The only thing I like doing about critical mode over beginner is that you get a lot more AP, which is for all of your abilities. So you can equip more abilities, and you get better abilities at the beginning of the game. That's to basically balance out the fact that enemies are going to kill you in 2 shots. It's a very good balancing thing, but you do more damage as well. So it's not just like enemies have a higher health bar or something. It's really well balanced, which is why I prefer actually playing on critical. But it'd be too frustrating in a stream, and I know I would get really upset. So I was just like, I'm gonna just do beginner and probably keep it that way for Extra Life.
That would take a lot. That would take too much practice, I think, on critical.
Yes, for sure. The crit strats are different than beginner. So anyway, so James, what have you been playing?
Well, what I've been playing, Dory, I've been playing Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition.
Oh, snap.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah, I haven't finished. Yeah, this will probably be not. I don't think this is a new thing with the special editions because I think they all do this. But I was surprised that it sort of cuts out all of the cutscenes basically, and you just sort of run through it. They haven't given much of a story reason for Virgil to be going through the same events as the other characters.
Oh yeah, for the Virgil campaign. Is it? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's just like one of those non-canon sort of.
I'm really tempted once I have a PS5 to pick this up. James, tell me how it is. Is it good?
Well, that's the thing. I was a little disappointed at the lack of story because I was kind of looking for a story experience, but I guess I can just replay the original version for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like the combat. It's been a while since I played Devil May Cry. I played it when it came out, Devil May Cry 5.
Yep.
I can't remember how much I liked the combat in that, but I feel like maybe I liked the Virgil stuff more. I really like the Virgil combat. It's very good.
That's what I want to hear.
You've got 3 weapons. They're all very different from each other. There's a lot like the big combos and stuff. That's the thing. I have trouble memorizing combos. So I'm kind of a button masher.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, same. Big time.
But I'm intricate in my button mashing because I try and get like the highest combos by constantly mashing the swap weapon button as I'm executing combos. So I'm just rotating weapons constantly. And that's probably not what you're supposed to do at all. I know you're supposed to switch weapons often for style and everything, but I've been doing a lot of that. But yeah, it's fun. Like all the cutscenes basically have been taken out, but I'm playing on normal difficulty and I'm sort of melting every boss. I feel like I should have maybe done a higher difficulty, then maybe I'd feel less like I was cheating when I used the gold orbs, because those gold orbs, they're fucking everywhere. I hate them because I don't use them because I've got like 11 of them now, and if I use them, it feels like cheating. It just feels like I can never die because I'm just going to use a gold orb every time.
Are those the ones that fully restore like your health and all that?
Those are the ones that revive you when you die.
Yeah, but like they revive you with full health? Or...
I've been avoiding using them, so I don't know.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think, because I know there's like certain tiers of like red orbs you can use to give you different amounts of health, and then you have the gold orbs, but anyways, that's its own thing.
But yeah, I mean, that first boss, I died to him once, and I gave me the option to use a gold orb. I just said, nah, I'm going to take the hit and I'll try again, which was fine. I beat him the second time. It's fairly easy on normal difficulty if you're a seasoned devil hunter like myself.
Yeah, I played Devil May Cry 5. So that first off, that was the first Devil May Cry game I ever played. Come at me, gamers. And also, I love that flipping game. That was one of my top. I think it was in my top 5 for 2019. And it was so good. I even played it on higher difficulties, and I never thought I'd do that with a game like Devil May Cry, which I knew, and this is part of what held me back for years, was infamous for its difficulty. And I actually played it on one of the higher difficulties because I loved it so much. I didn't get very far. I think I got to the first boss. I think I beat it on the next higher difficulty, and then I did another difficulty past that because Devil May Cry is bonkers. And I couldn't get past the first. I think I couldn't get past the second boss. And I just gave up. But it's such a fun game, so good, and I love the story mostly.
I have problems with avoiding damage a lot of the time. Yeah. I usually try and just with the bosses like run around them and dodge the attacks and stuff. But with when there's an enemy coming at you, is there like I don't know. I never really paid attention to whether there was a button to dodge or something like that. I usually just use the teleport thing. Where you just for a second.
It's a combination of buttons. Like you have to hold down R1 and then
there's a roll.
There's a roll.
There's a roll. Yeah. What is this, Dark Souls?
Mitch, you kind of froze for me for a second there. I don't know.
I didn't hear what you said on that one. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, it's a combination of buttons, I think, to get the roll where you've got to hold down R1, and I'm pretty sure it is.
Isn't it just the stick, like the right stick, you roll with it? I think.
I don't know.
It might be.
Who cares? Whatever.
Devil May Cry control scheme is very obtuse. We'll just leave it at that.
Also, that soundtrack.
So yeah.
Oh, the soundtrack. I don't know if the soundtrack in general, but like the specific songs that they have for all the characters. Devil Trigger is one of the best video game songs ever made. I remember it was in the original trailer at E3, and I was watching I was at friend's house watching E3 with him, and I annoyed him so much because the whole weekend we were there, I just had that trailer on repeat for like 20 times.
I won't say too much about this because it's kind of end game spoilers, but there is a part, basically the credits are like one of the most fun part of the game. Like it's such a great part of the game.
Oh,
I like games that have interactive credits. I feel like every game should do that because it's like credits are such a boring thing. I can understand like a game that's not about being like gamey not having that. Like The Last of Us shouldn't have an interactive credit scene.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that would be kind of
imagine after that ending and you're like, okay, shoot the credits. It's a happy go game.
Yeah, that definitely shouldn't, because that feels like more of a traditional cinema style game. But yeah, there's like more games should have playable credits, because that just feels like a great way to get you to stick around. Because I never know whether I should skip the credits or not, because I don't know if there's going to be like a scene after the credits that I'm also accidentally skipping by skipping the credits. So I always just move on and go and get a drink or something like that.
Yeah, when I beat a game, I always some games I don't, but like most games that have a good narrative, I'll sit through the whole credits. I absorb, like the music and the the ending.
Yeah. I did that for part 2. Like I won't spoil it obviously, but just ending with the song hit and it smash cut to credits. I was just sort of just sitting there looking down at my lap like, huh. So what do I think about that?
So how's the performance? Like, is it 60 frames, right?
It is 60 FPS. I have an issue with it though. The loading times are too fast. Here's the issue, right? I think games should either have not long, but I feel like they should have proper length loading screens, or they should just have no loading screens at all, like Miles Morales.
If you're listening, whoever's listening, do not listen to James.
No, listen. Here's the thing. You either have a decently long loading screen, or you have no loading screen at all, like Miles Morales. Anything in between that, if there's a loading screen where it brings up a tooltip and then it loads a second later and says press X to continue, I've picked up my phone. All right, it's just enough time. It's just enough time for me to look over at my phone and think I'm going to go and check my phone. And as I reach for it, it says X to continue. Oh, come on! I want to look at Twitter.
I'm still not used to the loading screen. Yeah, I'm still not used to loading screens because I'm like the loading screen, I'm getting something to eat or drinking something, and I'm like shit.
Yeah.
Just me and I was like, oh shit.
No, I did the exact same thing just last night actually with Spider-Man Remastered on PS5. Like I pressed X to enter the game. Like okay, I'll pick up my phone while it's loading, and then it just immediately loaded in. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's no, I agree with James on that one. I think it should be a decently length loading screen loading into the game for the first time, but like in between deaths and stuff, like just have it be almost instant. I reckon.
Yeah, I can't remember which developer it was, but I think I read a thing where like they were making a game recently for the PS5. I think it was in an interview about it was Astro's Playroom. And it was Mark Doucette, or whatever his name was, I can't remember. No, that's not his name. The guy who made Astro's Playroom, I don't know. I don't think his name was Mark.
Mark Cerny.
No, not Mark Cerny.
No.
The guy who's in charge of like Japan Studio or whatever.
That's the guy who wants pictures of your ear, Mitch. You're confused.
Yeah, that's Mark Cerny. Anyway, it was an interview with him, I think, in Edge magazine, and he was saying basically like it was loading so fast that it was kind of jarring. So he actually said to the guy making the loading screens, like, hey, like when you died, he actually said, like, hey, let's have a second here, just a pause. Because like, it seems that if you have it just be instant as soon as you die, it's like too much. It is actually too fast and it feels weird.
That's, I can definitely say that. I think like I can't help but feel like some developers get a bit too carried away with the SSD and its loading times. Because, like, as you mentioned earlier, I should say, like, you went down to look at your phone, and then you're like, oh, wait, I'm already in the game. There's no time to sort of recuperate or sort of prepare. It's just straight into it.
Yeah. Other than that, though, the game is fantastic. I love DMC5 is my third favorite Devil May Cry game.
Now, is it worth? I beat it twice. Is it worth getting again?
Yeah, because it's a reduced price. It's only 35 quid. So
it's still a lot for me personally.
That's still a lot. I guess you can wait for a sale if you want, but if you're desperate to play it, I'd say it's worth the 35 quid. If you're not, then definitely probably wait for a sale.
Once I get the PS5, that's definitely on my list, my short list of PS5 games I want.
Yeah, if it's like $20 maybe I'll check it out.
Same. Same.
Yeah, that seems worth it. I've also sort of played around a little bit with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is on PS Plus for January. I haven't played a lot of it. I think I've played the first level. I think I'm at the end of the first level because I've just been pausing for photo mode every 2 seconds. That's the only reason I'm playing it is for photo mode. That's the only reason I don't care about the story. I haven't followed the story. I haven't played the first 2 games, so I don't know what the story is. So I'm not paying attention to it at all. But the photo mode's kind of basic. It's a little disappointing. I mean, everything's disappointing after Miles Morales. Let's be honest. Every game should have Miles Morales photo mode.
So that's what the tweet was about. That
yes.
Was
that's what the tweet was about. I saw that too.
Why can't every game have Miles Morales photo mode? It's needed. But listen,
it's too powerful, James.
Once you get used to it, the photo mode being kind of rubbish. The game has some very good lighting, so you can take some great character models as well. So it's a good game for photo mode despite the limitations in the photo mode itself. So
I love that you're praising everything but the game itself. That's
because I've been paying attention to the game itself. To be fair, the only level I've done is like the first level where you just walk around a little bit, that's all you really do is just walk around. Yeah, I haven't done much combat.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, briefly speaking on Tomb Raider, I forgot to mention this for what I've been playing. Just last night, actually, I beat the first Tomb Raider game, like with the reboot series.
Oh, the N64 game.
Yeah, no, I beat the 2013 reboot, and the first 2 acts, PlayStation 1, right?
Yeah, PlayStation 1.
Yeah, okay. Well, I beat the PlayStation 3 reboot that came out in 2013, which is basically just an Uncharted clone. I stand by the fact that the first 2 acts are great, but the third act is abysmally long. Like, when it ended, I just felt relief that it was over. That's really it. Like, I thought
the gameplay is great, but the story itself is very forgettable.
The story is so, and there's this one plot twist at the very end of the game that they basically just blurted out, right, like literally in the opening cutscene, and like it's about a certain character and such, and like, oh, I'm such and such, and then like as soon as I got into the I pieced everything together. And then it only took Lara about 15 hours right up until the end of the game to actually figure out what they're doing. And I'm like, I figured this out before you even got, shipwrecked. What do you want about?
In that game, I really wanted the double pistols, and they didn't have it in that game.
That's
right, they didn't.
They didn't have it, no, for you to play around with in regular gameplay, which is a shame. But once I clear out my backlog a bit more, I'm going to start Rise of the Tomb Raider. So looking forward to that.
Are you into all the scavenging and all that stuff? Because I'm not into that.
No, I picked up a bunch of collectibles along the way, but it's definitely like I think there's a 5% chance of me actually returning to even attempt to 100% complete it. But yeah, I wouldn't go back to 100% complete. First Tomb Raider, at least.
I think the first one's better than the second one, so I'm curious what your take's gonna be, because I thought the second one had way too much scavenging in it for me personally.
Yeah.
I played the third at some point.
Me too. I still haven't played the third one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I played a bit of Rise at a friend's place, at a cousin's place. Like I played through about a third of that or something. I don't really remember much about it. But so I'm interested to see what I'll think this time through. But I just hope that the Rise is a lot shorter, or at least better paced than this game was, because holy cow, they just sort of got carried away there in the end.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say before Mitch hijacked my segment was that I've also been playing Resident Evil 7, because that. I played the Resident Evil Village demo, which we will get to, but that made me really want to play Resident Evil 7 and get through that game.
Thank God. About time.
It's good. it feels a lot more like Resident Evil 2 Remake than I thought it would in terms of like the puzzles and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Yeah, I'm big into it.
How far are you into it?
Hard to say.
What is as vague as possible in case anyone hasn't played it out there? What has just happened?
I'm just at the first bit where you play as another character in the game.
Through like a tape or something that you found?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Not
So
the
you're still
not
pretty early.
not the small one that's very early on, but like the second tape basically that you watch.
Oh, okay. Are you on a ship?
Oh yeah, no, that one. Okay, I forgot about that first one.
I don't think so.
Okay. Alright.
I'm next to water.
I'll put it this way: is there bugs everywhere?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Then
I'm
no.
next.
I feel like
I'm
we're
next.
playing.
I'm next to water though.
He's still in the.
It's my first time playing as this character.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
He's like heading in the second act.
Okay.
Right.
yeah, depending on when you find it, yeah,
Because
heading on into the second.
I started playing it before on PC through Game Pass, but I started from scratch on PS4 because it's part or PS5 because it's part of the PS Plus collection.
Yeah,
Oh, damn.
yeah. I'd say with Resi 7, like I think I mentioned this to you before, Dory, at least, but I think it has its first act is about as perfect as a survival horror game can be, I think.
Yep.
But once you get into the second, especially the third act, it starts to sort of like teeter off and get a bit
I
too.
think it gets really stale and repetitive towards the end. I still think it's a 4 out of 5, but it gets really repetitive and stale at the end, and they should have done more. Yeah, and not in a good way. Like I love RE4. I even have a soft spot for RE5, so I don't mind action in my Resident Evil games, but it gets kind of stale, and you just feel, at least on standard, completely overpowered by the time.
Do you know what?
There's no horror.
Now that you say that, I know you guys are saying, "Oh, you need to play Resident Evil 4. It's the best game ever," and blah blah blah. I think I'm more excited. I think I'm more excited to play Resident Evil 5 and 6, to play them in co-op, just because I've heard that's a lot of fun, just to mess about and play those games in co-op.
5 is really fun. I mean, if you just don't take it too seriously, I mean, it's not a great game, but honestly, I did co-op and I loved it. I thought it was incredibly fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just in it for the big stupid action set pieces, really.
I mean, you'll get them. Honestly, RE5 is one of the best stupid action scenes in its climax. I won't say anything, but in its climax that I've ever seen, and I love it to death.
It's kind of infamous at this point, you know. Yeah. I'd say if he hasn't heard of it, then
if you haven't heard of it, I'd be surprised.
Is this the sort of gun karate fight?
Well, also that. But
gun karate, I don't even remember that.
Okay, basically it's an action that's constantly associated with a particular character. Like when someone mentioned,
I don't know, Seb. I don't know.
What are we talking about?
Chris.
Seb, it's the most infamous part of Resident Evil 5. It happens towards the end. Yes, yeah.
I'm unfamiliar with this.
Oh, okay. Well, when you finish RE5, if you get to it, when you finish RE5, just let us know, and you'll probably know what it is as soon as you see it.
Yeah, you'll certainly know what it is.
But Mitch, you know what I'm talking about with like the gunfighting.
Yeah.
Is that in 5 as well?
Yeah. I mean, oh wow, no, actually, I was thinking of a movie where they have like a full-on John Woo gun karate thing, but I'm pretty sure that there's like a gun fu type of scene in RE5.
Oh, 5 has the Matrix scene where he that's where dodges bullets and slow motion.
and the movie, the movie did it and all that.
He does backflips and everything.
Yeah, it might be in the movie, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the games. It looked like
Wesker does Matrix moves in 5. He literally he goes to super speed because he has superpowers.
Yeah, so there's these two guys fighting, and like they're doing like all these moves, and like they're both trying to pick up guns and shoot each other, but they keep doing these ridiculous dodges. And
you're thinking of the movie. You're thinking of
you're thinking of the animated movie, the Vendetta movie.
Right, yeah, it would have been an animated movie then, yeah.
That's like the
that's Vendetta, the third one, yeah.
I need to watch that. That's on my list.
That movie's great. That's the movie where Leon and Chris fight in a hallway, And,
Like old
John Wick style fighting zombies with John Wick.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
That movie the movie's great fan service. Like it has Rebecca in it and it has Chris and Leon.
Okay.
I think they have a Breaking Bad reference in it, actually. From memory, they have a Breaking Bad reference in a Resident Evil movie.
Yeah, Leon just gets a
absolutely
text, and it's from an unknown caller, and it says, "I know you're Breaking Bad."
I do think you should play 4. Like you have, it's one of those games you.
No, I will. All in good time.
But in 5,
yeah.
Before we move on, I'm just gonna say 5. 5 got a lot of criticism because it plays just like 4. It's literally a copy and paste of 4, just with a better graphics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like that seems like a fine thing.
So if you like 5 gameplay, you'll like 4's gameplay.
There are worse things to be copies of, I suppose. But yeah, we really should move along. So, Seb, you've been playing the old new Scott Pilgrim game. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I beat it. It's a great game. I played it on the PS3, and then they finally brought it back. They took it off the store for the longest
time. What's the story with that? It was released on PS3, and now they took it away, and now it's back.
I honestly don't know the story. I just believe. I think they had licensing.
Yeah, it was licensing issues.
Yeah. And it was off the store for like, I don't know, it was 8 years, 9 years now.
Mitch is frozen.
He is.
I guess. Oh well.
We've lost Mitch.
No. You, but yeah,
it's
he's back. Okay, I won't cut that out.
I'm back.
Continue.
Basically,
yeah,
it's a retro beat 'em up. You go from left to right and you fight enemies. It's very standard. If you like those kind of games, you'll really like this game. If you don't, I don't even bother.
Does it still feel like a PS3 game, or have they updated it in any sort of fashion?
Yeah, it looks like the same game. I don't really. Maybe it's a little cleaner. Frame rate's better. But yeah, it's basically the same game. But the same game is great. I think it's really fun to play, especially if you have friends to play with. Definitely play that with friends. Basically, you go left to right, fight enemies. It is kind of like an RPG because if you buy items, like you can buy food and stuff, and you get stats. So if you eat food, you get like +1 in strength or +1 in health or something like that. You do get a couple of weapons you can throw around or you can smack enemies with. It's very short. It's only like 8 levels, I believe. Every level basically ends with one of the ex-boyfriends. Like the first one has the Matthew Patel with the sexy demon chicks. In the
is that the one with the hair? Is that the one like with the emo hair or whatever? Or am I thinking of Yeah.
Doesn't the main ex-boyfriend looks like him too? So you might get the two confused, but yeah, but he has the glasses on. Anyway, so it's meant to be played multiple times because it's very short. You can beat it in like, I don't know, 2-3 hours maybe. It is challenging. So there is ways to exploit the cheat system and stuff like that. There is a way to max stats pretty quick using 2 players. I don't want to tell you how if you don't want to know. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But it is a challenging game. If you're not used to beat 'em ups, you will die a lot or you might struggle a lot.
Is it full price then?
It's $15.
15. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
indie pricing.
Yeah, it's an indie game first and foremost.
Yeah.
If you like retro beat 'em up games, you'll. And if you don't, then I'd avoid it. But if you really like the movie and the graphic novel, 100% recommend it. I love them personally. So yeah.
Does it follow like the same story as the movie?
No, exactly. Yeah, the movie. It's the exact same story.
Okay. That's all the questions I have about it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really not much to say about it.
Yeah, fair enough. In that case, we'll talk about something that I think we've all been playing, apart from Dory, because she doesn't have a PS5.
What do on the show? All right, that's fine.
What are you even doing?
I'm back. The Resident Evil 8, also known as Resident Evil Village demo, which they released, called Maiden.
I'm muting you all. No, I'm kidding.
Nah.
I've heard it's mostly a graphics demo.
It's kind of like it's a taster. There's no combat in it. It's kind of like it shows you the atmosphere and the intensity of it and everything like that.
Yeah,
I think. Go ahead, Mitch.
I was going to say it's. I'm pretty sure it's literally called a visual showcase, which I mean, I think I should have probably tempered my expectations going into it. But it's really just as James said, it shows you the atmosphere and basically what to expect.
Yes, sorry, Mitch, you weren't hot on it, right?
I wouldn't say I wasn't hot on it, but it was like as I said in a Discord message, like I was whelmed by it. I wasn't overwhelmed. I wasn't underwhelmed. I was just whelmed. I'm just like I finished it and went okay.
I guess I guess if you played 7, you probably would think, oh yeah, this is just more Resident Evil 7, which is great. The thing that stood out for me was that like it feels a lot like Resident Evil 7, but I like the setting a lot more. Like I'm not big on the whole rednecks out in the woods deal. I think that's a bit boring. But the setting and everything with this is a lot nicer. And while I'm not out here simping, as the kids say, I like the tall women more than the rednecks for sure.
Yeah, you know what remind me of when when people games using like
sorry, I lost you there for a second. Could you say that again?
Oh, you know like when people make those remakes of games using like an engine, and it's like, oh, just look at the visuals. Oh wow, that's
yeah.
Like it really nothing happened. But it was like
the visuals were
the visuals were amazing.
The visuals were great. Like there was that bit that I wanted to point out where like you walk through a door and there's this like really cold wind coming through a window, and like you really see that wind coming through that window. Like that's I was like I was blown away. I mean, it was wind coming through a window, so I was blown away both in terms of like and also literally.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice so I could make the joke.
But that's the one thing Resident Evil's always done well. Even the very first game is they always do backgrounds fantastically, because they always back then it used to be pre-rendered backgrounds, but still it always looked pretty.
I mean, even the RE1 remake with its I wouldn't.
Too. Yeah,
that's pre-rendered. Yeah, even with those pre-rendered backgrounds, it's still like it still holds. Yeah, it still holds up.
I can understand if you had expectations for the demo, especially based on the demo for Resident Evil 7. I could understand being whelmed by it. But I will say though, they did put out a tweet that says, and I quote, from the dev team, "We created the Maiden demo as a surprise for PS5 players to show just how far we can push the PS5 to its limits. That's why we've added visual demo to the title. For those of you who are looking for a meatier gameplay demo, please stay tuned." So it seems like there's probably a proper demo with combat and everything coming soon.
They mentioned in the showcase that there'd be another demo for all consoles coming in spring. I think they said.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter to me because I don't need a demo. Like I'm probably not even bother playing the demo. I might have to just for the podcast sake, but like if I was part of the show, I wouldn't even bother. I already know what to expect. I know what the gameplay is going to be like. I don't need any more from Resident Evil 8 now.
I'll play it just to get a more complete experience. But
I'm not the world's biggest Resident Evil fan, but they're really selling me on this one. I'm really thinking I'll probably get it.
You know, the thing is, like, I prefer my Resident Evil to be third person. I think Resident Evil 2 Remake is the perfect balance of what I want from a Resident Evil game.
Resident Evil 2 Remake was very close to my game of the year in 2019.
Yeah, it is my game of the year. And I like 7's first person view was too, because I'm a big fan of the series. And I generally don't like first person horror games. I don't like the sneaking and the gimmicky, like you're helpless.
I don't like that either.
Yeah, I know, I hate that. Yeah,
which Resident Evil 7 kind of does in the beginning of the game.
I thought that was the most tense stuff though, and then they
it's
eventually.
Still good though. But I didn't bother me because it was good. But
that's the thing as well though. Like I've said, because funny story, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I hadn't played a Resident Evil game before Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I almost didn't get it. I was like, no, I'm not into horror games. I'll probably just miss it. And then on a whim, I decided to pick it up, and it ended up being my game of the year. Same thing that you're having with Sekiro. Like that was also on my game of the year list, but I wasn't gonna pick that up originally because I'm not a big fan of Soulsborne games. 2019 was a weird year. Yeah. Same with
it really was.
Same thing with Fire Emblem as well. Like that was my game of the year for that year.
Yeah,
and I wasn't.
It really. It's funny how like games work that way. Like there's a genre you just that, and then you end up playing it. It's like, wow, this is like my game of the year. You know what I mean? That was me with Demon Souls because I don't like Dark Souls games, and then Demon Souls ended up being my second favorite game of last year. So
Yeah,
that was what
and-
Hades was for me in 2020. Is like I don't really like roguelites, but I picked it up and I was like, this is top 5 material right here.
And 2019 as well, another horror game as well. Observation did that for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what was I going to say? Like, I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh yeah, that's the thing. I don't like Outlast because it's too, like, they're trying to be as scary as possible, and I think that's the wrong approach. Like, I like what Resident Evil does, where they're not trying to be as scary as possible. They're just trying to get that intensity, like where you're sort of worried about what's around the next corner, but it's not. You're not paralyzed with fear. You're not so worried that you're not gonna round the corner. You're not gonna like exit the game.
Yeah, that's what I like about Resident Evil. It's every game's always like, it's not like overly scary. It's like it just keeps you on edge because you never know what to expect.
Yeah,
what's around.
because you want to strike that balance. You don't want it to be too scary because you want people to keep playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say though, in defense of Outlast, like I totally agree with what you said there, James. But I think the moments where it actually does fill you with dread, at least the first time through, and actually have some legitimately good tension, is in those moments where you've got like, you know, a puzzle that needs solving. I say puzzles with quotation marks here, but a puzzle that needs solving, and then you've got, you know, like a big cannibalistic dude with a saw blade or whatever, like sort of chasing after you, or you're in a stealth situation. That's when the game's at its most tense. But then you have the other moments where you just chase down a linear corridor and you don't really feel as much there. And I think, yeah, I can see what you mean there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seb, what were your thoughts on the demo? Did you like it? I mean, it was a small slice, but
I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad. It was just too short to really maybe have an opinion on it. It was just, you know,
yeah,
it was just whatever.
I finished it in 15 minutes, so
Yeah, I played in like 15 minutes. I mean, I spent more time taking pictures on my PlayStation and then putting it on Twitter than I did actually like playing it. Like I went right through it quick.
Did anyone die like the first time through, or
no, Mitch? Because I don't suck at video games like you.
Wait, you can die.
I just didn't know. Yeah, you can die in this. I just okay. So at the very end there, obviously, the first time through, I didn't know where to go. Yet, obviously, in hindsight now, the fact that she was blocking the door obviously meant you were supposed to go through there. But yeah, I didn't know where to go at first, so I was like trying to head back into like the dungeon or something that you started out in, and yeah, she just chased me the whole way there.
The vampire lady, you mean?
Yeah, the vampire Marguerite lady, whatever her name is.
She's like the lady from Hocus Pocus. I don't want to go on a tangent.
Yeah, I get that.
I want to know
Look, you know, I was already sold on Resident Evil 8. I didn't need hot, tall witches in this game to sell me, but I'm absolutely in the camp of that being the case, of that selling it to me even more. I'm like, if she's chasing me through a gothic castle, I just think that's a good first date. Like, I just feel like that's really good first date material right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not even hiding it anymore. We're just horny on main on this podcast.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, but do you guys want to talk about like the showcase as well?
Sure.
No, we'll just skip that.
But okay. I mean, I don't know how much I have to say because I feel like I didn't have much to say yesterday when we were streaming it. But
a lot to say, actually.
Please take the floor.
Well,
I'll bounce off.
Give it back to me.
How do you want to like approach this though? Like the showcase.
What stood out to you from the showcase? What was the most interesting thing that we learned from it?
Well, first of all, the release date. It was nice to get a release date. I was hoping April, but May is a great month for it. I was hoping to see gameplay, which is what we got. I was hoping to see more story elements because I was wondering why are we in Romania? Why is Chris there? Why is Ethan there? Ethan's kind of an obscure character. I was wondering why I feel like Seven has a complete story, so I was kind of wondering why they were bringing Ethan back. I have an idea why now, but we might get into that. But that's what jumped out to me is like it looks like 7 just like bigger and better. Like it adds on to 7 like with all the good elements of 7. Like it knows what it is. You know what I mean? Like an action first person horror game.
I think the sorry, I was going to say just real quick. I think the thing that stood out to me most in the gameplay segment there, like it was like a 2-second flash of gameplay, but as you said, it just looks a whole lot bigger. Like when I think of like a survival horror Resident Evil game, I don't think of numerous werewolves and a giant friggin' 15 to 20 tall dude with a giant hammer.
Look, I mean, Resident Evil has had giant lizards since day one. Resident Evil has never made any sense. I don't want Resident Evil to ever make sense. If this is the direction that they want to go with werewolves and witches, and I'm pretty sure, like, they've had giant ogres, and now they're having giant.
Yeah.
What was that guy with the hammer? What is he called? It's like a gnome, or not a gnome.
One of them.
A troll, I guess, like a troll. But I don't know. Like I feel like we got enough gothic thing.
I feel like we've got enough trolls in gaming already.
Yeah, but that's
hey, CD Projekt Red.
He says,
James will be there every night, guys. Every night.
Every night.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm fully on board with the new direction and take they go with this entry in particular. I think it's just like, for me, like it isn't even really like a bad thing. I think it's just like it feels weird that Resident Evil is at the point now where you've got like much more wide open areas for combat, and you've got red barrels in Romania. I'm assuming
Romania is actually one of the hottest distribution centers of red barrels. I don't know if you know that.
Yes, it's a famous export.
The R in Romania is actually 4 red barrels. I don't know if you know that.
It just looks so much like Bloodborne. Like,
yes,
I know. I know. Like, not every game that's gothic is looks like a copy of Bloodborne, but it is like even the enemy design. Look, I swear to God, those like hairy, like werewolf-looking monsters were like in the beginning of Bloodborne, like almost exactly.
Yeah. I just think it's too late to complain about and not that Mitch is complaining. I just mean this is general statement.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's too late. Resident Evil has already bit that bullet of just saying, fuck it, we are whatever genre we want to be. Our main villains have superpowers, can do the Matrix dodge, and
I said this a million times. Yeah. Resident Evil went from a spooky mansion to fights in volcanoes where you punch a giant, to like Matrix moves to crazy rednecks, and now, of course, like creepy castle. I mean, Resident Evil 4 Resident Evil 8 looks a lot like Resident Evil 4 in terms of the castle settings.
Yeah,
like I think that's definitely intentional. I think that's I would like even if not for lore reasons. I think the obvious similarities with 4 is intentional on Capcom's part. Like, I don't think they're missing out on anything. I think they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, even the merchant's menu had the exact same text or text font as Resident Evil 4. So they're obvious.
And the item management was exactly Resident Evil 4. It was like it was more modern, but it was pretty much it.
Exactly.
I like the showcase overall. I didn't have the only thing I kind of wanted to see was like just an official announcement that they were going to do RE4. I wasn't expecting trailers, even if they didn't have artwork, like whatever. That I just wanted a basic thing, like, hey, we're confirming this. This is being worked on. Don't expect it for like another few years.
I don't think I think sorry to interrupt, but I think but I think if they did announce RE4 Remake now, which I mean, A, everyone pretty much already knows is happening. B, it would, at least on Capcom's end, I wouldn't be surprised if they shied away from that because they didn't want to take away from Resident Evil 8 itself.
Yeah, that's fair. I think announcing now would probably be a marketing mistake.
In hindsight, that's a good point. And also, I think if there's one thing we can take away from Cyberpunk 2077 is that you should not announce games too early.
That was my other point. Yeah, I think especially with that, you don't want to announce something and then say, okay, it's going to be a few more years until you get something extra, because then that just gives people all that time to actually just build up this idea of what are in their heads.
Plus,
and then,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean
no, I mean, no, it's all good. But it's like, plus the fact that like people's expectations are always going to be let down if you leave them untethered for that long.
But with the showcase though, like there was a rumor that we were going to get a remaster of the first 3 PS1 games. I didn't get my hopes up, but I was like, but it made sense because it's the 25th anniversary. I mean, I didn't get my hopes, but I was low key like, I would have been really happy if they did that. And then they did that multiplayer, which is garbage. So I'll just say that. It looks like hot.
I will say that it doesn't really make sense to me that they would remaster the original trilogy if they just spent all that time and money remaking 2 of them.
Well, they're just a port. You can easily port those games.
And one of them did suck, to be fair, Mitch. One of the remakes did suck.
Oh, okay.
Capcom's a big company. They can have multiple things on different projects. They can easily have a port.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to have a port of the original Resident Evil games, but I think it's universally agreed that at least the RE1 remake is like the definitive version of that game.
It definitely is, but I really just want to play 2 and 3 again. The original.
Here's the thing, though.
I don't like tank controls. Nothing's bringing me back to those games. I don't like tank controls.
I feel like they could have.
I'm used to it.
I feel like they could have. I didn't have big expectations for the showcase. I didn't expect them really. I thought there was a chance they'd announce something else. I didn't think there was a huge chance. But I feel like they could have saved a lot of expectations like that if they just called it the Resident Evil Village Showcase instead of the Resident Evil Showcase.
Because they didn't.
But James, then they couldn't have teased the excellent multiplayer that we should all definitely spend hours talking about.
Yeah, I completely forgot. I completely forgot about that already, which is telling, I think, of how interesting that is.
The Resident Evil is never really the only good multiplayer Resident Evil game that I recall is Outbreak and Outbreak 2. And those
because
games,
that was an actual Resident Evil game.
Yeah, those games deserve more respect. I would love it.
The thing is, why do they keep trying to do like a Call of Duty, versus multiplayer?
They gotta be popular with the kids.
Why don't they do? They should do something,
but
they should do something cool where it's like you're running through like a level at the same time as somebody else or something like that.
It's the same reason why 5 and 6, Capcom defended 5 and 6, because people forget that Resident Evil was in a place after 6. Like the fans were so fed up with the series in Capcom. Capcom was like one of the most hated companies in gaming for the longest time until they had a redemption in the last few years.
Yeah.
But
until EA.
And then they burned everything by releasing Resident Evil 3.
Yeah, because Capcom's answer was
burned it to the ground because it's so good.
Because 5 and 6.
We should probably stop cutting off Seb though, because he's
trying to make a point, guys. Jeez. 5 and 6 are the highest selling games in the series, so Capcom's excuse was like they just sell. So we don't care if they're mediocre or shit. If they sell, they sell. But the problem is that all their games after that were starting to disappoint. So they had to with 7 they had to wipe the slate clean and start over. That's why 7 was such a a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, because 7 was like the genesis of their redemption. Yeah. Like after that, everything started going right for them.
And now it's it's practically an annual series now. I mean, we've had a game every year except 2018. We had Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3.
That's true.
Now it's becoming
which I'm not sure how I feel about that, but as long as the games, which is the thing, it's like I don't know, like as long as the games are good to great, then I'm happy.
Exactly.
But
who else is making horror games in that fashion? The only thing, I don't play a lot of horror games, but the only horror game I can remember in recent years that had that same sort of coolness and intensity that Resident Evil has is Observation, which Observation fucking slaps, by the way, and everyone needs to play it.
But like in indie games, basically, you're saying like indie titles from indie studio are the only studios.
All the big horror games today tend to be like multiplayer, like Jason and like
Dead by Daylight.
Like that. Well, they all like that kind of gameplay. Yeah.
Which I mean, it's funny that you bring up Dead by Daylight because to get back to the multiplayer thing for a bit, I think Resistance, as much as it failed and as terrible as it turned out, was probably the best, most solid idea for a multiplayer RE game that they ever had. Like the idea and on paper it has a lot of potential, but I think the lack of creativity and just polish really killed that game. For me especially, because we didn't even bloody finish the review. But like I don't know what they're doing with this. I like just shooting other humans, which I mean the current third person RE series it does not work for shooting like live targets that are constantly moving and strafing side to side. Like the aiming is super slow and supposed to be inaccurate. So shooting at moving targets just does not work. And you could tell that in the trailer because they weren't shooting anybody at all.
Can I just say, Mitch, the official party line is that we're still working on the Resident Evil Resistance review. So
yes,
get to
yes.
That's right, Mitch. The fan demand from PSPremiere fans all over the world couldn't be higher for this review of yours.
But
I'll get yeah. No,
I'm for style, like art style and like cell shading and all that. But the cell shading in this game makes it look cheap.
It's a filter. It's literally a filter.
Yeah, if it was like they did something really cool and unique with it. Like
also,
Resident Evil game.
Somebody on Twitter, I forget who, so apologies for that. Somebody on Twitter pointed out that in order to make like the small corridors of Resident Evil games work in multiplayer, they just shrunk the characters down, which is amazing.
The best like multiplayer kind of thing that Resident Evil ever has really done is like the mercenaries mode. They've done it with 4, like where like you have a time limit and you have to kill a certain amount of enemies. Those were an absolute blast. You get to play as all different characters.
That's the thing. I feel like multiplayer in Resident Evil should be player versus AI still, rather than player versus player.
No, but I said multiplayer, but that's not really multiplayer. It is single player, but it's like a time limit game where you have to kill enemies in a certain amount of time. Well, Resident Evil 4 has one of the best mercenary modes.
Yeah, mercenaries in RE4 is so good. RE5 it's okay.
Yeah,
but
because you get to play as Wesker and Krauser.
You do get to play as Barry, and he has a punch called the Jill Sandwich. I mean, it's amazing. But
actually,
it's just he actually is in RE5, and you can play him in Mercenaries, and he has a punch called Jill Sandwich or something.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, it's amazing.
It's excellent fan service, but it is kind of just it's a little overburdened with fan service.
People really love the Mercenary mode. They even made like a full game out of it. Like I think it's on the 3DS or something.
Yeah, 3DS. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we should also point out as well there was this is from VGC, the news website, that they're making a Resident Evil. The Resident Evil 4 remake is still in development, but there was some tension between the developer making it, M2, which was the developer behind Resident Evil 3 remake, which was not good. I want to clarify that. There was some tension between them and Capcom. Capcom wanted the game to take inspiration from Resident Evil 4 and sort of differ from just differ from it though, like take inspiration from it but make it its own thing. M2 wanted to make it as faithful as possible after the backlash to RE3 because of course RE3 was not good. Basically M2 has been, their role in the project's been significantly reduced. And I think it's, who is it that's working on it now? According to
I saw Division 1, Capcom Division 1, like their main team is reportedly working on it now.
It's their main team.
Which is a good thing. What did the main team make?
I'd say they're currently on Resident Evil Village, so I'd say they've got like a smaller team working, just finishing off Village.
Like, and Village is practically done, so...
And that makes sense, because it seems like Resident Evil Village will be good, and Resident Evil 3 was not good, so that makes sense, right?
It was pretty good.
It was great. It was a great game, and James doesn't have any taste, and we can move on.
The problem is they should have ditched the multiplayer and put more time into the single player.
Yes, I agree with that. It wasn't perfect, but it was good.
They should have kept the clock tower section, which is a big part of 3.
Yeah. I think briefly before we move on, briefly on the Resident Evil 4 remake though, I cannot see a universal possibility or outcome where this game ends up being either as good as people's expectations of it or as good as the original.
No, it's going to no, I guarantee that it's going to disappoint. Like it's going to be it's going to be a good game, but it's going to disappoint in terms of Resident Evil 4 has like a 96 on Metacritic. You know, it's one of those.
It's a relic of its time. Not to insult it either. Like it's very much a early to mid 2000s game.
It's very dated. Like terms like Dead Space and like Last of Us and all have evolved from it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That's why I think that this is one of them rare cases where the publisher is correct and the developer is not, because I think because expectations for this remake would be so high for it to live up to the original and surpass the original even, it's smarter to go the Final Fantasy VII remake route of
I was just thinking that, yeah.
sort of changing things, and nothing is sacred and that kind of thing,
Of
rather
As
than
long
trying
as
to.
they don't,
Because if they make
long-
it too close to the original, then people are
Yeah.
just going to be disappointed no matter what, because it won't be the original.
It's just
as long as they keep the merchant voice, I don't care.
what are you?
What are you buying? What are you
Wait,
selling?
But it really doesn't need a remake. If I had the choice right now, I'd reject it. I want a Code Veronica remake because that needs to be a remake because that one has the old tank controls and everything. That
Well,
one
you
could-
heard you heard it here first, folks. If they release Resident Evil 4 remake, Seb will not buy it. That is his pledge.
No,
He said it here live.
I buy
He will
everything.
not buy it.
I buy everything
That's you locked in now, I'm afraid, my friend.
No. I'm not excited. It's. I don't want to say it's gonna disappoint me, but my expectations are not high going into it. You know what I mean? So that's just where I stand right now. I really have no.
Yeah. Not to mention, I can't visualize the RE2 remake Leon
Exactly.
as RE4 Leon. Like, obviously they age up and all that, but it's like unless they get like Matthew Mercer back or whatever who did the later games, then yeah.
What's this gonna be like? It's probably gonna be like Resident Evil 6, like just not as mediocre, but like more
Yeah. That's
polished.
that's the thing. I know.
6 is mediocre.
As someone who hasn't played Resident Evil 4, I'm all happy for it to be a continuation of Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake.
Yeah. I mean, look, as long as they don't, I think as long as they don't sort of.
You can't make it like horror, like survival horror, where you limited ammo and stuff, because the enemies in that game are not zombies. They're smart. They have strategies. They plan things.
Fair enough. When I say I want it to be a continuation, I'd be happy with it being a continuation 2 and 3. I obviously mean that it should be good, like Resident Evil 2, not bad, like Resident Evil 3.
Can we end this segment? Because it's just an excuse for James to
We
shit
should
on
have
me.
we should have a counter at the top left of the screen
We
or
need
something.
a
just
counter,
like
James.
amount
It's
of
your
times.
punishment. You need to edit in a counter for every time you talk shit about Resident Evil 3.
Okay, I'll do
Remember
it.
remember they made Nemesis like just like a prop, and they never really used them.
Yeah, I remember when the game was bad.
Add it to the counter.
We should move on though. So yeah, now we come to a segment that we're calling Screenshot of the Week. This is a new segment where I show everyone in the panel here a screenshot that I found this week, and they tell me what they think of it. So here you go, guys. Here's the screenshot of the week. What do you think of that?
Oh,
I like the blue.
I like the blue Dory.
Put that on a quote.
No.
Okay, great. Anyway, so more news this week is that Vicarious Visions, obviously the developer now famous for making the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake and the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy remake.
That's like Vincent Van Gogh like making a painting. You're just like, I like the blue.
Something fast, okay? Because there's a bit.
All right, so yeah, listen, kind of defeating the purpose of the bit, but let's
It's only
move
the
on.
second time we've done it. We've already defeated it.
Yeah, so basically, Vicarious Visions has essentially been absorbed by Blizzard and turned into a Blizzard support studio, which I think is the dumbest the dumbest decision in a stream of dumb decisions by Activision, who only seems to make stupid decisions which make no sense, because at this point it doesn't seem like Activision understands video games.
No.
Well, they're a business, of course they don't.
That's
I think
Activision.
true.
I think
Activision more like the Activision, am I right?
Yeah, right. It's surpassed EA.
But it's essentially
EA's making, like smart, like fun decisions, and this one and Activision's just greedy as fuck.
that is weird. The EA is like making good decisions, a lot of good decisions, right? But Activision is just. Let me tell you why this is stupid. If you don't know, right? Vicarious Visions has been in the recent years one of Activision's strongest studios. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake is one of the best selling games in the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise, maybe even the best selling game in the Tony Hawk franchise. Crash Bandicoot, the Insane Trilogy, had similar success. These guys know how to remake a game. They were one of their strongest assets, but now they've got them. They've merged them into a Blizzard support studio essentially. Although I will say, according to Jason Schreier on Twitter earlier, they have been working on a Diablo 2 remake. So I guess they're kind of doing the same thing, just with Blizzard's games. But I have to wonder, how long does that last, and how long is it? Like, when they finish that, do they just get turned into an Overwatch 2 support studio or something?
I mean, have you guys played Diablo? Like I know it's a very PC centric franchise. Like, I
haven't played.
I've dabbled with it, but not much at all.
Yeah, it's one of the best dungeon crawlers, loot system games. You know, like, it's addicting.
I hear that Diablo 2 is the best.
2 is
one.
Two had a lot of problems at the start, if I remember correctly. You had a bad economy and things like that, and but it's a beloved game.
But the thing is, like, getting them to work on a Diablo 2 remake, that makes sense, but merging them into Blizzard, that makes no sense.
It's not even the good Blizzard. It's the Activision Blizzard. It's the shitty one that makes bad consumer.
And this essentially means that they are never going to make another remake of an Activision-owned property, which is stupid. Because that's what they're known for. I mean, they could make even an original game, and I'm sure it'd be fantastic. Just so much wasted potential.
Yeah, because Diablo 2 remake should be getting a lot more buzz and like excitement, like Warcraft 3 got. Like, when Warcraft 3 got announced, people were going insane because it's one of the most beloved
that turned out great. That game,
and it ended up being a disaster. So
I think that's exactly why people don't. Look, I mean, I think the exact reason why Blizzard acquired Vicarious Visions is exactly because of what James said, is because they were super successful, and I mean, they basically revived the Crash Bandicoot franchise.
Well, the thing to be clear is that, like, it wasn't an acquisition. Blizzard is owned by Activision, so this was a choice by Activision to get them absorbed by Blizzard. If it was an acquisition, like, that might make sense, because then it's like, okay, they got money out of it. But what are they getting out of this? What are they getting out of this?
I mean, it really just depends on the quality of the Diablo 2 remake.
But even then, they could just have them make a Diablo 2 remake without absorbing them into Blizzard, saying, "Oh, you can't work on another Activision IP ever again. You can't make Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 remake. Sure. You can't do any of the stuff that everyone wants you to." You can tell that I'm pissed off about this because it's such a dumb fucking decision.
Yeah, there might be more to this internal story, but yeah,
I can't imagine.
I mean, we should add this as on the day of recording. This just happened, so there could be more details, but I generally agree with James. This is a bad decision, and it cannot spell good news for Vicarious Visions.
I agree.
It's obviously a decision motivated by the fact that, due to their previous success with Crash and Tony Hawk, Blizzard or Activision, whichever one, obviously went, okay, well, we want that same success and buzz generated for Diablo now, or at least a Blizzard IP. But come on over to us. I'm not excusing it, obviously, but it's like,
the thing about that doesn't add up to me is, like, they could have had them make Diablo 2 remake without absorbing them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, unless, like, I'm sure
the Blizzard has more copyright and stuff over that. Like, it's more like licensed and all that.
No, because Blizzard is owned by Activision, so
it is. But I'm sure there's more like legal reasons.
It just doesn't.
Are they owned by Activision, or is it just like a partnership?
It's Activision Blizzard.
It's kind of like it is a partnership, but it's like Activision didn't make a partnership with Blizzard. They made a partnership with Blizzard's parent company.
Okay.
So I mean, they're kind of like the bigger fish.
No, Activision's the bigger fish, but it is kind of Blizzard has a big say in a lot of stuff. Like,
it definitely feels like they have less of a say now, though, and like it feels like Activision is taking over more of Blizzard. But the thing is, the only thing I can think is maybe they. If they did a Diablo 2 remake, they want Blizzard's name on it, not Vicarious Visions' name on it. But that's such a stupid... If that is the reason, that's such a stupid reason to absorb a studio.
Now, do you guys know if it's coming to consoles? Because Diablo 4 is.
I'd imagine so, because Diablo 3's on consoles.
But Warcraft 3 didn't come to consoles.
Yeah, but that's Warcraft though. That's not.
Yeah, but it's like, it can be done if they really want to. There's plenty of RTS games. On
but it was I think because the original Diablo.
Very good though.
I guess the original Diablo 2 was never. It's a complicated thing.
What 3 is? I beat 3 on PS4. So.
Yeah, Diablo 2 wasn't.
And it's on Switch. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, who's to say? It's too early to tell, I'd say. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Diablo 2 remake. I'm not excited for the fact that we won't be getting God, what else does Activision own the rights to?
Oh God, many things.
So much.
But now
Call of Duty is probably being the biggest.
Like Activision owns a lot of studios, and they have a lot of studios making like these big remakes. Like they had Raven Software and Beanox making the Call of Duty remakes. They have Toys for Bob making the Spyro remakes and Crash 4.
Right.
So I guess they have a lot of studios, but Vicarious Visions was like the most talented one.
Yeah, because they almost screwed up Crash too, because they put microtransactions in Crash Team Race, Nitro Race, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
like that was
which
a big controversy.
Which I want to say, I'm not like it doesn't matter, but I called that. I said they were gonna. I said they were gonna do that. Everyone's like, "Oh no, it doesn't have microtransactions in it." And I just said, "Wait a month, wait a month."
Yeah.
And then sure as shit, it's Activision. Who'd have thought?
And they used to have Destiny, but Bungie got away from them, which was the best thing they ever did.
How do they keep doing that? That's what I want to know. Like, because they got away from Microsoft and they got away from Activision.
Because they have people that made Halo, which is one of the most beloved. So they have that. They have that credibility.
But how do you get away from Activision? Okay, Activision with a franchise as big as Destiny. How do they not latch onto that?
I don't know.
Like
they might have bought it out or something like
something with a toothpick.
Yeah. They were probably smart with the loopholes and they can find a way to get out of it. I think that's what they did.
I wouldn't be surprised if they when they initially signed the contract for the deal or whatever, they sort of gave themselves some leeway for the future in case things didn't work out.
That would be hard for me to believe though, because it's Activision. I mean, Bobby Kotick is like a fruit fly sucking at a dead carcass.
Yeah,
I'd have to look it up. I don't know on top of my head how they did.
I wouldn't look that up.
I'm sure
you'll get some images you don't want
to see. But yeah, I think that's what happened.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a sad situation. I think that about does it for this week.
It sure does.
It sure does. So on a rather sudden note, thanks for joining us once again. If you liked this podcast,
and why wouldn't you?
Once in a blue moon podcast. We don't do these every week or something. This is a rarity. If you like this, but we actually do them every week. Which I need to say for the next. I didn't think that through, but I need to say for the next part, we do it every week. So if you enjoyed this, then subscribe to the podcast feed and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and you'll get this podcast every week. If you enjoyed the podcast, once again, give us a rating on iTunes. Apparently that helps a lot. Probably. We also put out other things. We put out reviews. We put out a Blood Roots review, which I'm quite proud of this week. We shared by the developers as well. The developers liked it and stuff. They retweeted it as well. So thanks to them for that. That was hugely appreciated. We put up other comedy videos and features and other fun things. More coming soon as well. You will see in the future. So with that said, we shall. We've got big things coming in 2021. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Resident Evil 3 is great.
No, it's not. I'm cutting that out of I'm going to cut that out of the show. Don't worry.
So many tangents this week, but they were mostly good tangents.
Yeah, that was probably our
I like
best
tangents.
podcast.
I also like tangerines. Did you know oranges are a lot like podcasts? Because oranges have segments, and podcasts have segments.
Why don't we have this in the show? We should have this in the show.
I was gonna.
Why aren't you recording this?
I was gonna bring this up in the show, but I forgot.
I live in the orange. I'm aware how
you're unloading your best stuff at the end.
Yeah, don't worry, I'll put this at the end or something.
There you go.